Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Sean. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. As China's population rapidly ages, tens of millions of families are confronting the life-altering challenge of caring for relatives with Alzheimer's disease, often with little or no outside help. China's elderly population is projected to grow by more than 100 million over the next 2 decades, and that's leading to an explosion in dementia cases. There are currently an estimated 10 million Alzheimer's patients in China. By 2050, this figure is predicted to surpass 40 million. Chinese authorities are investing in expanding local elderly care system, but they are struggling to keep up with the sheer scale of the demographic changes taking place. That means the families of Alzheimer's patients are often on their own. Take a look at Chen, a 45-year-old living in an apartment complex in central Shanghai. According to Chinese news site Six Tongs report, each morning as Chen leaves home for work, he always makes a point of greeting the security guard standing at the gate of his apartment complex. Chen knows that he needs to stay in the guard's good graces. Without their help, it would be impossible for him to continue holding down a job and supporting his aging parents who live in the same apartment. Chen's mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 5 years ago, and she now needs round-the-clock care. His father does the best he can, but he's also in his 70s and is becoming increasingly frail. Just keeping Chen's mother safe is an enormous challenge. She often becomes distressed and tries to leave the complex as she no longer recognizes it as her home. One time, she went missing for 2 days. Police eventually found her wandering a street 50 kilometers away. The guards are sympathetic and have managed to prevent Chen's mother from escaping again. But Chen wishes his family could access professional care. The stress of working full-time while trying to take care of his parents is almost unbearable. You can't imagine what the life of a family with an Alzheimer's patient is like, says Chen. I feel like I'm often on the verge of collapse. Without access to professional care services, people like Chen have to shoulder a punishing burden. Many have to give up work to take care of their elderly relatives full-time. They often struggle financially and see their own mental and physical health deteriorate. With millions more families set to be affected by Alzheimer's over the coming decades, the lack of care resources threatens to develop into a social crisis. It's still unclear how China can adapt to this new reality. Peng Shizhe is Dean of Fudan University's Institute on Aging. He said, "The investment of social resources into caring for this group will be huge. It will be like an abyss. The issue will get increasingly serious. However, so far, we haven't got a mature plan." Shanghai, the city with 26 million people, is China's largest and wealthiest city. It also has the most elderly residents. More than 1/3 of Shanghai's registered population is aged over 60. Based on national incidence rates, Shanghai is likely already home to more than 200,000 people with Alzheimer's disease. If current trends continue, this will rise to around 1 million by 2050. The local government is trying to get prepared. It has built hundreds of community elderly daycare centers in recent years. It has also launched a long-term care insurance scheme, which provides subsidies for up to 90% for home-based and nursing home care services. But the system is massively oversubscribed. Though any registered Shanghai resident over 60 can apply for the subsidies, places are limited. By mid-2020, nearly 400,000 people had used the scheme, a small fraction of Shanghai's senior population. Applications by Alzheimer's patients are rarely approved, Chen says. The system was originally designed to provide supports to elderly residents with severe physical disabilities or terminal illness. But people with dementia usually don't fit this model. Wang, a 62-year-old who lives in Shanghai's eastern suburbs, is one of the few Alzheimer's patients who has been granted access to the long-term care scheme. A maid now comes to her house for an hour a day, 5 days per week, to help clean the apartment, prepare meals, and bath Wang. For Wang's husband, who acts as her full-time caregiver, the visits have been useful. But the family is still struggling to cope, and even just arranging these few hours of help has been exhausting. Several maids have quit as they lacked experience dealing with Alzheimer's patients and couldn't handle Wang's behavior. Chen Hui Li, a friend of the family, says, the previous 4 maids all left after Wang yelled at them. She yelled because she was so scared of strangers. But they didn't understand. They described her as a monster and warned other maids about the danger of taking this job. Chen lost her own mother to Alzheimer's disease a decade ago, and she now often volunteers to take care of Wang. She knows how badly the family needs support. Wang's condition has been deteriorating in recent months, and she needs to be watched even more closely than before. For Wang's husband, simply having 1 hour off to take a walk can make a huge difference. Families of Alzheimer's patients need to breathe, says Chen. They are looking after sick patients 24/7. They need positive energy, which won't come if you are spending all your time caring for a sick person, even if it's your loved one. Wang's daughter has seen her life turned upside down by her mother's diagnosis. As an only child, she has had to take responsibility for supporting her parents financially. Now 35, she works long hours at an advertising company, and she never married. The years of stress have worn her down. I don't want to go back home unless I have to. The atmosphere is so depressing, she says. A trip or alcohol are the ways I relax. Chen's family receives even less support. Like most Alzheimer's patients in Shanghai, his mother isn't covered by the government's long-term care scheme. And the family can't afford to hire a maid themselves, meaning Chen and his elderly father are the woman's sole caregivers. For Chen, his mother's disappearance 4 years ago was a huge wake-up call. At the time, she was in the early stage of Alzheimer's and still sometimes went outside alone. But one day, she got on the wrong bus and wasn't seen again for days. The trackers Chen had placed in her bag all went dead. Luckily, the police were eventually able to find her. After that incident, Chen quit his job at a state-owned company to devote himself to looking after his parents. He only went back to work a year ago, once his mother's condition had deteriorated to the point where Chen felt she was unlikely to escape the apartment complex. I want to be with her as much as I can and to make sure she leads a happy and full life for her remaining years, Chen says. I'm lucky I have never married. If I had my own wife and a child, I don't know how I could have struck a balance. China's zero-COVID policies have actually made it easier for the family to keep Chen's mother safe. Their apartment complex has locked every entrance to the compound except one, meaning she's unlikely to slip past the guards unnoticed. It's quite ironic, but that's how we've benefited from the strict pandemic control measures, Chen says. Now that Chen is back at work, the financial pressure on the family has eased somewhat. Before, the 3 of them were surviving just on Chen's parents' pension payments, which came to a little over 10,000 yuan per month. Chen has been looking for community daycare centers that will accept his mother, so that his father can have some time to rest. So far, his search had led nowhere. Unable to access government assistance, Chen has tried looking for a maid, but there is a massive shortage of domestic workers in Shanghai, and the fees are simply too high for him to afford, especially after years out of work. Chen is trying to stay positive, but he admits that he often feels terrified about the future. He knows that as time goes on, things are only likely to get harder. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.